Hey, bestie! You're wrong.
God, it's like Ariel and the Queen of Hearts did the fusion dance. Is this the first topic I'm revisiting on my channel? No, that was nice, guys. Hello everybody, I'm SP, and today we're watching some fat acceptance body positivity TikToks. Before I start, I do want to say, there's nothing wrong with loving yourself and who you are. In fact, that's all you have at the end of the day. But part of loving yourself is taking care of your physical health and not lying to yourself. I want to be as respectful as possible in this video. It's going to be a little more serious in my opinion, but I don't like when people lie. And I don't like when people call me names just for their comfort. And so, with that being the case, it's another fat chick video. Please subscribe.
I think it's time for another adult pre-K lesson. What do you think?
Right now I'm thinking, oh god, this is going to be annoying. But this is what I signed up for, so go off, I guess.
Okay, here's the thing. Having a preference is something like, I'm looking for a partner who likes kayaking, or wakes up early in the morning, or loves pizza.
Yeah, those are habitual preferences, or psychographics even. Which you're correct, those are preferences. But those aren't the only preferences that matter, you see. In order to like someone, you have to be physically attracted to them. And any psychologist will tell you, attraction is very much an important part in the mating process. There are exceptions, but those don't really count.
But when your preferences exclude an entire group of marginalized people, that's problematic. Okay, that's not nice. That's not a preference.
And we were getting along so well at this point. You're not marginalized because you can lose weight. You can change. While I do agree that there's such thing as, like having a larger frame, there's that fat runner chick, or there's strong men, or there's even me. I'm not a naturally tiny guy, but nobody is naturally morbidly obese. I don't know if I say that word right.
If you lump all fat people in one group together as though they are not very different individuals, that's fatphobic.
Oh, here we go.
Just like lumping all black people in one group and saying, I don't like black people is racist. And lumping all disabled people in one group and saying, I don't think people in wheelchairs are hot is ableist. Do you understand?
You see, I don't like to label somebody as racist right off the get-go. In fact, I'm not going to call her racist. I'm just going to call her kind of ignorant. That statement was very ignorant. You can lose some weight and escape your fat phobia. I can't turn off being black and escape racism. And there's people who can't, turn off their disability and escape ableism. So do you see how that statement is a little ignorant? Anyway, we're gonna move on.
Guys who are super athletic gym buffs.
Yeah.
I don't want to swipe on them because if all they care about is working out, and this is like me being very judgy.
Did you really think double standards were not going to make an appearance in this video? Now pay attention to what she says next. It won't sound bad, but you just have to think about it a little.
Because, he'd be like, I'm in training. He was eating greens. It was always seafood. It was always a green, and it was always rice. It's like, this has no flavor. It doesn't even have butter in it. Yeah. This is horrible.
Now this is a huge double standard for multiple reasons, but I'll start with this one. Imagine if someone was like, I don't want to date her because all she eats is oh goodness, what's something that fat people eat? Bacon cheeseburgers or Twinkies, and eat something healthy, you cow. Like, what's the difference? So then the community also likes to complain about people complaining about what they eat. Yet here they are doing that and acknowledging that they know they're being judgy. So like, what's the diff? Points in case, look at the rage in this next girl's eyes.
Y'all remember when people got upset that I put 3 scrambled eggs instead of 2 into my breakfast hash that I ate? And people went wild about it?
The bitterness is extreme. Let's keep it going.
Let's talk about thin privilege.
Can we do something about that name? I like the name Fat Entitlement more.
Thin privilege is defined as the power and advantages systematically accorded to people with thinner and smaller bodies.
I can't poke holes in this sentence, other than the fact that thin privilege doesn't exist. There is one exception that I'm still waiting to get into.
Some examples of thin privilege include not being denied medical care because of your weight, airlines not charging you more money to fly, and being more likely to get a raise or promotion than your fat counterparts. As well as everyday, seemingly mundane things like being able to comfortably fit into public transit seats and even hospital gowns.
See, that first point is like 24%, viable. But I have heard some things. And it kind of takes some thinking to kind of put this all together. Being fat is really unhealthy. For starters, you have a higher chance of skeletal issues, you have a higher chance of heart issues, and you have a higher chance of getting cancer. Like a way higher chance of getting cancer. And honestly, I can see doctors getting frustrated with patients that won't heed their warnings to lose some weight. And so they don't have to waste your time if you're not going to listen to them. They'll just go see somebody who actually wants to better themselves. And so they don't have to see you. And so trying to make doctors tiptoe to fit what you want them to diagnose you with rather than what they need to diagnose you with is fat entitlement. See, with those other two examples, if you take up more space, you should pay for more space, fat entitlement. And if you're unhealthy, you're probably going to call out a lot more often than your thinner, healthier counterparts. I don't mean to equate thinness with healthiness here, but I'm just saying, if you can't twist and turn and stand and move and if you can't do all those things because you have all this extra weight on you, they're going to hire somebody who can, and that person is probably thinner than you. These are no-brainers.
A lot of people have argued that thin privilege isn't real because thin people have also experienced body shaming for being too thin and have body image issues like everybody else. Fat phobia goes beyond bullying. It includes being dehumanized and systematically ignored and discriminated against in healthcare, education, employment, you name it.
And now I get to that point I always wanted to get to earlier. Hi, so future SP here, editing SP, I accidentally made a mistake, a boo-boo, if you will. I misspoke here. I kind of stumbled over my words. God, I'm stumbling over them right now. But what I meant to say is this is the point I was trying to make earlier that I brought up twice, and now I'm finally getting to make that point. Okay, bye.
Okay, my apologies, Miss Girl.
Pretty privilege. You see, this isn't fat phobia, this is pretty privilege. Simply put, people that are deemed more attractive just have an easier time in life. They get hired easier. They get lighter sentences in like prison. And people are just genuinely nicer to them. So that's a pretty privileged thing. And unfortunately, being fat is associated with being unhealthy. Being unattractive because most people just aren't attracted to fat people. And so, of course, they're going to be treated better because of pretty privilege. Now, I have heard the phrase, you're not fat, you're not ugly, you're just fat. And I don't know how I feel about that, but pretty privilege. It's like, look at it this way. You can change being fat, but you can't change being ugly.
What is your favorite thing that thin people do that's like quirky, cute?
Being unwashed. Or just smelling bad in general.
No, you just stink. You just smell bad. Go take a shower. Stop being gross. I'm not going to touch this one.
Why don't you change yourself? Let's start there. Because the main reason people who are overweight are unhappy is because people like you shame them just for existing. They're not the problem. You're the problem.
Oh, good one. You really told me. I bet he doesn't know that sugar and processed foods actually affect your mental health poorly. It's the reason I went, vegetarian in the first place 6 years ago.
Let's talk about thin privilege, since you seem to think it doesn't exist.
He makes me uncomfortable. I'm skipping this one. I get 3 of those.
Here's your reminder that fat phobia is rooted in racism.
And now we get to revisit that whole racist thing that I hate. Look, I believe you when you say the body positivity movement was started in like the civil rights era by black women. But what I don't like is almost the stereotypical implication that fat and black are connected. Did you sort of feel that from her saying that? But we're done with TikToks. We are done with TikToks. But watch this next clip and excuse me if I get heated.
to me, it's almost like reverting back to the civil rights movement. Now we're telling fat folks that they have to buy an extra seat. Not too long ago, my grandparents had to sit on the back of a bus. It's almost like segregating folks based on the way they look.
I can't imagine. Did you really say that?
Now, please allow me to give you 3 reasons for why that sentence absolutely upset me. My grandmother, born in 1940, used to tell me stories of seeing the KKK ride up and down her street. There was even a time where there was multiple times, she told me, where they almost dragged my great-grandfather, her father, out of the house and killed him in front of her. Then there's my dad, born in 1962 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is the North, and it's about 20 years later. You would think it's better. It's not better. In fact, Milwaukee, Wisconsin is notoriously racist. Now back to my dad. He grew up down the street from a line you could not cross if you were black. A literal line drawn. If you cross that line, you might not make it back alive. And then there's 3. There's me. I went to private school. My grandmother escaped the South. She made a lot of money, and she paid for me and my brothers and my sister to get into private school when we were younger. I was 4, and for a lot of those white kids, I was the first black person they ever met. To put your laziness on par with my blackness is absolutely demeaning, stupid, and ignorant. And anyone who feels that way should be ashamed of themselves. Like, that's it. Anyone who feels that way should be ashamed of themselves. And you should feel so bad. You should feel so bad because you can escape your fat phobia. You can escape your discrimination. I can't. And I think I really don't like that the lady in the video herself, she was black. Like, saying that is really, really awful as a black person. To say that about your other black people. To say that about your other black brothers and sisters, I don't like that. I don't vibe with that sentence. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Bye.